Whether it's bad planning, bad luck, bad timing, or bad inventions, well-intentioned bad decisions have plagued history for thousands of years. Welcome to Historic Hindsight. Hello and welcome to another episode of Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're going to talk to you about Germans fighting the Nazis.
And Germans and Americans and the French and Austrian resistance all fighting the Nazis together.
So everybody fighting the Nazis.
Yeah, everybody said, screw you, SS, we're good to go. If you are watching on the YouTubes, I am in my period-appropriate World War II 17th Airborne get-up, although the 17th Airborne was not at this battle, but I don't have a tanker uniform yet, so once the wife lets me buy a Sherman tank, maybe I'll have the need for a tanker uniform.
One of these days. Soon,
but until
hopefully.
That point. We're talking about the Battle of Castell Itter, which is it's a very end, one of the absolute last battles of the war, and it was essentially at the Castell Itter in Austria, and it was we were trying to save some French POWs from some crazy Nazis, and in this whole interim of things, somehow German Wehrmacht, an SS officer, and the French POWs all join up with some Americans and fight the Nazis.
But okay, so the Germans that were involved, what was their situation prior? Were they?
Oh, they're Wehrmacht, so they're regular German army.
And then they just decide to.
Yeah, we don't really like the SS either, so.
So we'll go ahead and help you get rid of them, I guess.
Switch teams at the last. See, if you're gonna learn one thing, Johnny, about World War II, you got to learn that there's a lot of side switching that goes on, and it usually happens when the nation realizes they might have picked the wrong side, and then
it's everybody trying to be on the right side of history when it all comes down to it.
Yeah, so like you have France that initially fought the Nazis, and then they get taken over, and they go, oh well. We're now the Vichy French, and we support the Nazis. And
yes, hello, guten Tag.
And once the Americans land, and the British land in France and Normandy, they're like, oh, remember we fought with you guys at the beginning.
Oh, those Germans? No, that was just a fling. We're over them. We're sorry. We didn't mean it.
We apologize. So the Battle of Castell Itter, it would take place on May 5th, 1945, a few days after Hitler puts a bullet to his own head. So at this point, things aren't quite going so well for the Third Reich.
Yeah, I mean, they're falling. They're crumbling.
Yeah, their Fuhrer is dead.
Yeah.
Most of their country is occupied. Berlin is under heavy siege by the communists, who are oh so friendly to them right now.
Oh, I'm sure.
Treating everybody with respect and dignity.
Well, I mean, that's kind of their mantra, right? Is everybody working together and doing their part, and it's all one big communist community.
One big communist community. So a little bit of lead up to this battle. Castell Itter is a 19th century castle that was built on the ruins of another castle that was built on the ruins of another castle that was built on the ruins of another castle, going all the way back to the 10th century. So right off the bat, this doesn't sound like the best location to build a castle if they've had to rebuild it dozens of times.
Well, I'm sure it's just general wear and tear and not constant fighting and barrages.
Yeah, maybe. After the Anschluss, which is the German annexation of Austria, at the very, very beginning of the war, when Germany decided that Austria is now a part of us, and Austrians went, okay, I guess.
I mean,
they didn't really put up much of a fight. The Nazis leased this castle, and by leased, I mean SS Lieutenant General Oswald Pohl, under the orders of Heinrich Himmler, seized it from owner Franz Gruner on February 7th, 1943. So basically, the Nazis came in and said, we like this castle up in the hills. Yeah. We want this castle. It is now our castle.
You see this castle? It's mine now.
It's mine now. We're leasing it from you. We'll pay you. Wink.
Yeah, a totally fair price, I'm sure, too.
I'm sure it was. Now, this castle was really pretty much quickly turned into a prisoner of war camp for French VIPs, so it is a nice castle. On April 25th, 1943, the Nazis decide we're going to make this a prison camp for our famous French POWs.
I mean, it sounds like it's not that bad of a deal to be in a castle prison camp, right? It's a castle, so it's got to be very romantic and fairy tale-esque, I would imagine. So
Yeah, it's still a castle. It's still nice.
somewhat
It's a lot better than
luxurious.
Dachau,
I mean,
which is where everybody else was sent, which is
yeah.
actually who the head of Dachau actually controlled this castle as well. So if you were French, you had your choice between this nice luxurious castle,
Yeah.
but if you happen to be Jewish, you went to Dachau, where, you know,
not as nice.
Not as nice.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't as bad as, I guess, Auschwitz. It wasn't a strictly death camp, but I visited Dachau.
I mean,
It's not a place
none of them were ideal at the time.
No, it was not ideal. It's not someplace I wanted to go. Some of the French VIPs that stayed here at Itter Castle was tennis player Jean Jean Barotra. I can't pronounce his name.
I don't think that's it, though.
Famous French person, the tennis player. They had French Prime Minister Edouard Daladier and Paul Renaud. I think I got closer on those guys' names, but
I mean, they sounded more French than the first part.
Jean, I butchered his name, and I apologize for that. And former Commander-in-Chief Maxim Weygand and Maurice Gamelin. So we have a bunch of high-end, ex-government officials that weren't playing along with the Vichy government, but were still important enough that we decided not to just off them right off the bat.
Maybe use them in the future as some type of bargaining chip or something.
Exactly. So we're going to fast forward now to May 1945. Hitler is dead. The Reich is falling apart. It is a matter of time before the Americans get there. We are right at the town next door to Itter, so we're marching there ourselves. And there was a first attempt at rescue. So on May 3rd, 1945, Zvonimir Kukovic, who was an imprisoned Yugoslavian communist. I got that name. I actually know I got that name because I looked that name up. So I'm proud of myself for getting a Yugoslavian name.
Yeah, pat on your back, Tom. You're batting like 15% right now on names.
Yeah, well, I'll take what I can get. Anyways, he was a Yugoslavian communist resistance fighter, and he was a handyman at the castle. He was a little bit better status than a lot of the other ones that went to Dachau because he was given a little bit of free roam over Itter because he had some use to him. He was, like I said, the handyman. He was able to fix things. He tells the SS guards, he says, "Hey, look, I'm running a mission for SS Commander Sebastian Weimer, and I need to go into town." And they're like, "Cool, sounds legit. We're not going to bother checking that. Just this is how desperate things were at the end. They're just like, screw it."
Well, and I mean, it's some handyman who's just been doing odds and ends around the castle and making things, do what they need to do. If he says he has to go get some supplies or something, all right, go get your supplies.
Right. He carried with him a note that was designed to request aid from a U.S. group, the first U.S. group that he came across. So he was going to town, first U.S. division you find, give him this note, tell them where we're at. Maybe they'll come and give us some assistance.
Hope for the best.
Hope for the best. The closest town was actually occupied heavily by SS at this point, so he bypassed that, went 40 miles on foot in one night. This guy booked it.
Holy cow! That's like
that's
more than a marathon and a half. That's about a marathon and a half.
To give an idea, this is how I conceptualize things as in Civil War, because that's what I know. A Civil War march was around 20 miles a day, so this guy's overnight going, double that distance on foot.
You sure he didn't steal some kid's bicycle or something?
He might have. I know the second rescue attempt, the guy did use a bicycle, but from what I found, he didn't have a bike. He was on foot.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
We'll say he was on foot. Either way, even on a bike, 40 miles is not a short trip.
Oh no, it's a good trip, but it's easier.
He wound up running into the 409th and 103rd U.S. Infantry Divisions that were in Innsbruck, which is the next closest town to Itter from where they were at. The soldiers were unauthorized to give a response themselves and said, "Hey, look, hang out here. We'll have your answer by the morning, whether or not we can help, because we don't we got to find a major or something."
I'm 19 years old, dude. This is above my pay grade. What the hell am I supposed to do about this?
You meet one little private. He's like, "I don't even know."
Golly, Miss Simpson.
That next morning, they do decide to initiate a rescue mission. They form a heavily armored M10 tank division, which are M10 tank destroyers. So these are not tanks, but these are mobile artillery that's designed to destroy tanks.
Yeah.
They get a shit ton of those guys up together and say, we're going. Let's have some fun.
All right.
But halfway there, they run into some severe artillery fire from German defenders.
Yeah.
And then the 36th U.S. Division commander yelled at them and said, hey, look, you guys are encroaching on our territory. And damn it, you're not going to get any glory on our territory. So you guys got to turn back.
So the Germans shot at him, and then the Americans said, hey, what the hell are you doing? You wrong place, wrong time. Get out of here. Skedaddle. And they did.
Yep, yeah. You have two U.S. divisions that come across the 36th Division who says, yeah, you guys can't come in our territory. Turn around and go back.
Okay.
So all of them do, except for one, like two Jeeps with a couple of like random, specialist Americans that kind of still start to go to Castle Itter, but never actually wind up making it themselves either. So the first rescue mission is complete bunkus. We have one American division in a pissing match with two other American divisions, and nobody can decide who wants to go. And so they send the other two back, and nobody goes.
And nobody? I like it. I mean, it's a heady play.
That's a very American thing.
Gather some intel or something. Just sit back and watch and wait until the very last minute before you run in and save the day.
So while this first rescue attempt is going on May 2nd, a former head of Dachau, that whole concentration camp, and by default, Castle Itter, the very, very head, Edward Weiter, he dies under very suspicious circumstances, Johnny. It's
yeah.
It wasn't a heart attack, we'll say that. Like he didn't get shot by the enemy. It was very suspicious circumstances.
Huh.
So the next
had like a flu?
Maybe he got COVID. I don't know.
There you go.
So Castle Itter's
3 or something.
Maybe. So Castle Itter's commander, Sebastian Weimer, fears for his own life, thinks that there's a coup that's underfoot, and decides, I'm not sticking around, and he leaves Castle Itter. Soon after, all the SS guards but one decide, we're not going to stick around either, and they all hightail it out of there. This is where we get our second rescue attempt, Johnny. After not hearing anything.
So this is after all the guards fled Castle Itter?
So the guards have fled.
Who's remaining there then?
It's just the POWs. So the guards leave.
And so they're just chilling?
Yeah.
Are
So
they
the guards
locked
leave
up?
around the 4th. The prisoners wind up getting out. They wind up getting into the armory that's there and taking whatever weapons they have. But they know that there is an SS division of soldiers that are still in the town, and they fear that these soldiers are going to come and just execute every one of them.
Right, come back.
Which is a logical concern, because what's going on in the town next door is that the SS are pretty much killing anybody that they like.
By this point in the war, everybody knew that was kind of their agenda.
Yeah, this is a Waffen SS too. So these are like Hitler's like elite S.
Yeah.
Like you have the SS, which are the normal assholes that you have to be like a Nazi to be a part of, and then you have the Waffen SS, and you have to be like sucking the party members off to get into the Waffen SS. Like there is no, if you're in the Waffen SS, there's no denying that you were a Nazi and that you killed some Jews. Like there's no denying that.
Right.
So these are bad guys. So after not hearing anything from Zvonimir Kukovic, a Czech cook by the name of Andreas Krobot was sent to a nearby town of Virgil, which is the closest town to Itter, which is where all the SS guys are hanging out, but which is also where the head of the Austrian resistance is. So the hope here is get to the Austrian resistance. Maybe they can help us out.
Okay.
Enter a man by the name of Major Joseph Donnell. He is a German Wehrmacht commander. He was in charge of this area at the time, and he was ordered to withdraw his troops. He said, I'm not going to do that. He let anybody who wanted to leave, but several troops did stay back because he knew that the SS were a bunch of assholes, and they were literally going around the town killing everybody. So he felt it was his duty to try to protect and save as many people as he could. So he's hung around, and you're already getting some conflict between ex-German Wehrmacht and the SS.
Right. Well, he's going against orders.
And he has gone against orders. So the Czech cook, Andreas Krobo, does meet up with the Austrian resistance, does get led to Josef Gangl, who says, yeah, I am all about this. Let's go free as many people as we can and save these French POWs. At the same time, he has heard, Gangl has heard, that there's an American reconnaissance unit of 4 Sherman tanks of the 23rd Tank Battalion and 12th Armored Division of the U.S. 21st Corps. A lot of things to throw at you. Doesn't matter. There's 4 tanks that are on a reconnaissance mission led by Captain Lee. And he had
Robert E.
No, I don't know if he's a relative of Lee or not. I wasn't able to find any real information about this guy.
But not the same guy.
No, not Robert E. Lee.
Okay.
Yeah, different.
I wasn't sure how old people lived back then.
No, John Lee. Robert E. Lee was like a dinosaur when the Civil War happened.
He would have been like 200 years old.
He would have been a bit old, yeah. These tanks had reached Kufstein, Austria, which is about 8 miles to the north of Itter. So Gangl goes with a white flag in his Kugelwagen, so in his little Jeep truck. He's driving up there with a white flag. He says, hey, the Americans, we love you. I didn't fight against you. Trust me. And he says, look, there are a bunch of French POWs that are in Castle Itter. We are afraid that the castle's going to be assaulted by the Waffen-SS. We need your assistance.
Captain Wait, but that is you.
Well, Captain Lee goes, listen, I'm bored. Hell, let's go. Rounds up the 4 tanks and let's go, boys. Instantly starts driving to Castle Itter. No orders, no nothing. Just gung-ho, boys. Let's go.
It's all right, man. What else do we got to do today? Nothing?
Right.
All right, let's do it.
Captain Lee was supposed to be waiting for assistance from the 142nd U.S. Infantry that was a part of the 36th Division. So this is the U.S. 36 that's in control of this territory. That's not.
But he's
really
like, I got 4 tanks, though, right?
Yeah. And he says, screw it. I'll just go ahead and go since these guys are late. On his way to Castle Itter, he actually has to lose several tanks across multiple bridges. And he's like, all right, I got to leave this tank here to defend this bridge point. I got to leave this tank here to defend this bridge point. I got to leave this tank here to defend this bridge point.
So, I mean, this is like how video games are set up, You have to get all the tanks to protect the bridges before you can proceed along your mission.
Yeah, and on their way to Castle Itter, they wind up.
You don't have anything.
Yeah, they wind up defeating a small branch of SS that were setting up a roadblock. I mean, what's your roadblock with a couple of machine guns going to do to a Sherman tank?
Yeah,
drive right over you.
Scratch the paint.
Yeah, pretty much. So by May 4th, the night of May 4th, the rescue team has arrived at Castle Itter, and the French POWs that have armed themselves are sitting on top of the castle. And they look down and they go, what the hell is this? That's it? This is what you guys bring to us? They have 1 Sherman tank, Johnny.
Yeah.
12 American infantry. Of those 12 Americans, like 4 of them are in the Sherman, so
yeah.
There's Gangl's Kugelwagen driver, and 10 German soldiers.
Yikes.
So not
like that's what shows up in like a movie, like a comedy movie. Be like, what is it? And they're like, no, I promise, we're real good at it.
And somehow this hasn't been made into a movie yet. I don't know how. There's not actually a movie directly based on this event.
Because there are so many damn World War II movies and stories to be told,
but this one would be a good one. Like, I'd watch it, but of course I'd watch every garbage World War II movie
like
comes out too. So
that's nothing to be judged by.
Fair point. The French decided, all right, well, we'll use what we have. Meanwhile, they know of at least 100 to probably 150 SS that are in the Virgil, the town underneath them, and ready to march on them. So they're like, well, I hope these 20 guys will be enough.
I mean, they do have a tank at least.
Yeah, you do have a tank. The French also enlist SS Guard Kirk Siegfried Schrader to assist them because for whatever reason, I guess he befriended them and he had a change of heart and said, yeah, those other SS guys, they were mean to me. They wouldn't give me biscuits in the gravy line, or I don't know.
Yeah, everybody's just trying to stay alive right now, it seems. Like, oh, yeah, whatever side you want me to fight for, that's fine. You're not going to kill me? Okay. I'll go kill somebody else with you then.
Pretty much. So we have the defense of Castle Itter that begins. Set the stage here for you, Johnny. We've got around our 36 total, including the French guys that are able to fight. Well, Captain Lee instantly takes over command of the whole operation because he is an American, and the hell with the fact that he's outranked both by the SS officer and by Major Donnell, but, you know, whatever.
I doubt it. What are their ranks in the American Army?
He's a captain.
No, but no, the two foreigners.
Major Donnell, which is
and
above
the
a captain.
Major of the American Army.
Well, okay, yes, no, okay, fine, Johnny. He's not an American officer. You're
well,
right.
Then I guess he doesn't outrank Mr. Lee, Captain Lee, Major Lee, whoever, General Lee.
Yeah, Captain Lee. So Captain Lee tells the French, yeah, you guys might want to go and hide. We got this. We actually know how to, you know, fight. Let's like the French said, no, we're going to take up defensive positions with you guys. Throughout the night of
we don't want to leave your side. We're scared.
Yeah, we don't. We'll stay right here. It's fine. Captain John Lee puts the Sherman tank right in front of the castle gates to provide machine gun and artillery cover, which is a good it's a good position. Put it right there, cover everybody. Everybody else pretty much is sitting on top of the castle wall, so they've got the high ground. They've got.
That's
I mean, it's a typical castle. You've got your little, you know, your blocks
your archer
behind.
Yeah, and your what are those? The archer notches and everything.
Notches, yeah. Well, you've got your stone cover that you can hide behind, and you've got the high ground, so it is an advantage. Throughout the night of the 4th, a reconnaissance group from the 17th SS Panzer Grenadiers harassed the defenders by probing for weaknesses all throughout the night. So basically, they would just take some pop shots, see where the return fire was coming from, so they know where all the defensive positions are.
Sure.
The battle's going to begin, Johnny, on the morning of May 5th, 1945.
What time?
What time?
What time?
I believe it was around 7 in the morning.
Gah.
Always got to wake up.
You, man, it's always way too early.
Them the whole night, you know.
Yeah, keeping them up, and now they're tired, and now they have to go fight a battle. It's just silly. Sleep in until 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then get going. War starts at 10.
Yep. Well, the war starts early, and it's around 150 guys up against 36 dudes. Oof. Those odds are. But great.
36 guys in a castle with a tank.
Yeah, there's a tank.
Like, all right. You pick which side you're going to go stand on.
Right. Luckily, before the main assault began, Donnell was able to get a phone call to the Austrian resistance and request reinforcements. So a call for help is on the way. And Johnny, they get 2 more German soldiers and an Austrian resistance kid who's like 14 years old.
That was the reinforcements?
Yeah.
Did they call like the local farmhouse down the street? And like what? Oh, yeah. All right. Hey, get out of the fields. You got to go help. They're in a pickle up at the castle.
Yeah.
They send 3 yokels.
Pretty much. The battle opens up with heavy fire from 3 German Flak 88 guns that are used as anti-tank guns because the Germans realize, hey, this anti-aircraft gun, if you point it at a tank and you shoot it at a tank, it fucks that tank up.
Also works on other types of vehicles.
So these Flak 88s, they open up, they destroy the north tower of the castle, and they knock out the Sherman tank pretty much right off the bat. Oof.
Did they just shoot the big ball of rocks above the tank and make it crash down on top of it?
No, they hit the tank direct. It's a dead-on hit to the tank. The radio operator in the tank, he's able to get out of the tank without injury. The other guys, they get out.
Yeah?
But they're not much use after they get out because they're torn up a little bit. You know, when something penetrates a tank,
it's also
basically is a meat grinder on the inside. Little shards of metal just ricochet everywhere.
Oh yeah, just flying all over the place.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to not die in.
That's fair.
Fighting was heavy, and the SS would wind up making progress to the western lower walls. So things aren't necessarily going so great for the Americans and the Allies at this point. That they're fighting. During the assault, Donnell himself would wind up being killed trying to move French Prime Minister Renaud from harm. And if there's anything that I've learned from watching military movies or reading firsthand accounts, never provide assistance to anyone on the battlefield. If they get shot, leave them. Because the minute you go to help them, your ass is going to get shot too.
Yep.
There is no room for heroism on a battlefield.
Yeah,
The hell with that.
they got shot in a certain location that bullets happen to be traveling, and it's if you stop there and hang out, more bullets are probably going to travel there.
Exactly. So Donnell is the first shot and killed. By the afternoon, the defenders had actually gotten to the main defenders of the castle wall. Everybody on the inside was running very low on ammunition. It was starting to get dire. Everybody inside the castle was starting to prepare for hand-to-hand combat that they knew was coming. Gruesome hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any
The
ammunition.
bad stuff.
So now we're going to have to use the pointy end of the bayonet.
Which,
not something I want to do.
So is that just that they were less mean bayonets than the Civil War bayonets, though, right?
Yeah, this is just a knife on the end of the gun. It's not a triangle.
It wasn't that triangle, impossible to stitch up or hard to stitch up.
The Geneva Convention actually wind up outlawing the triangle bayonets.
It's so strange to me that we just sit down and agree and accept on rules of how to kill each other.
Isn't it? Especially when half the countries don't even abide by it.
Yeah, you can't use that anymore. But why? It's too mean. It kills them differently than this other thing that you're trying to kill them with.
Or alternatively, when the Geneva Convention outlaws something like tear gas, but the Americans still use it for riot control.
Well, that's because it's
on American citizens
who are sworn to protect and serve, and certainly not using military surplus.
And, if it would be used in military, it'd be a war crime, but on your own people, meh.
Peaceful protesters, that's fine.
In any case, a radio call or telephone call does get out to the Austrian resistance, which does make its way to American forces. Great. We might now have some potential for some reinforcements, right, Johnny?
Are we going to get 4 American dudes? One of them's going to have a cowboy hat and a rope.
Maybe. They get their call off to Major John Kramer, who's like, "Yep, let's go. We're going to help. I've got tanks. We're on our way." But the phone call gets cut off halfway through, so Major Kramer has no idea where the hell he's going.
On my way, just let me know where.
They're in the town of Urgel, but they have no idea where they're going. So
listen for the gunshots and shit, right?
Right? Yeah, come on. So at this point, tennis star Jean Marotta, he vaults the castle wall. Volunteer says, "I'm going to vault the castle wall."
He vaults it?
Vaults the castle wall, jumps over the castle wall, says, "I'm going to go link up with the Americans and direct them here." So this guy...
How high is this castle wall?
I mean, it's a castle wall, so it's not
60 feet then?
Well, I don't know how. I don't think it's that high. He's able to get over the wall without dying, but then he has to run through the SS lines without getting shot, get all the way down to Virgil, finds the Americans, which he winds up doing, meets up with Major Kramer, and says, "Hey, look, I will guide you back to Castle Itter and show you the best way to come in and the best way to flank the hell out of the SS." Great. Kramer says, "Why don't you stick behind?" Tennis player Jean says, no. Give me an American uniform, give me an M1, and I will fight with you. So they said, "All right, here you go." Gave him a uniform, gave him a gun, and this guy, he's a badass. Not only does he get out of the castle wall, not only does he cross all that distance without getting killed, somehow links up with them, and then gets his ass all the way back up there. This guy.
How did they have just spare uniforms and guns and shit in the middle of a battle? They just
I don't know,
they take it off some dead dude?
Probably.
And gave it to him?
This
is sounding like a Donnie Yen movie, and he's going to be doing all his crazy shit through the back. I think I saw he was in some war movie or something that he did some crazy shit in.
At this point, Captain Lee's defenders, like I said, they were preparing for close quarter combat. The walls are breached. They're about ready to enter the castle when at 4 p.m., Major Kramer's forces arrive with an ass ton of tanks and quickly dispatch the SS, because when you have 10 or 12 tanks coming up against 100 guys, they're like, "We surrender."
Yeah, one tank. It's all right, we'll shoot that one tank, but
12 tanks?
A dozen? You're not gonna have the time for that.
with the supporting infantry that goes along with those tanks,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
we're good. So they do surrender. 100 SS soldiers are caught and do surrender. So we get our aftermath here, Johnny. Get a casualty report that we start off with. I
All
always like to
right.
start off with. So of the Allied 36-ish men that were fighting, Donnell was actually the only KIA. So
Really?
not too bad, not too bad.
Wonder what he did wrong.
Yeah, right. 3 tank crew were wounded, and another defender was also wounded. So you have like one of the French POWs, I believe, that was wounded. 3 of the tank operators that are
5
wounded.
casualties total.
Yeah, yeah, yep. And Donnell himself. So yeah, 5 total casualties. Not too bad.
No,
But
not
again,
bad.
when you're defending and
High
you're behind 12
percentage, though. I
walls,
mean, it depends on how you want to report your data.
yeah, I
Percentage
guess,
isn't
yeah,
great.
because I guess 5 out of 36 is probably a bit higher of a percentage than just say 5. Donnell was honored as an Austrian hero, and there is actually a street in Virgil that's named after him now. So good for him. The Austrians are like, he's a hero. He saved a bunch of people in the town from the crazy SS. So yeah, good for him.
Someone name a street after him. Okay.
It is unknown how many SS were actually killed or wounded, but we know that around 100 were actually captured. So my guess is their forces were actually probably closer to 100 and not 150, and not that many were wounded or killed.
Yeah.
And pretty much the whole force just surrendered, would be my guess.
It's starting to sound like the people in charge got together to talk about how heroic they were and what they did. In reality, it was just like they rolled up and everybody surrendered and everything was like, all right, we got to make this sound good. And be like, yeah, tell them that I demanded a uniform and then fought with you guys. Yeah, we just had one laying around. Now you can do it and go do your thing. Like,
I'm sure
this is all pretty
was,
fishy.
I'm sure some of this was a little bit embellished.
It's
yes.
probably why they haven't done a movie on it, because they're like, no, that's all sounds
that's too ridiculous.
Yeah.
French POWs were sent that night to Paris, and they would arrive in Paris on May 10th. Germany would sign unconditional surrender to the United States and the Allied forces 2 days later. I keep saying United States. Look, I'm sorry at home. I know that more than the U.S. fought in World War II, but I'm an American.
In mostly other
countries.
We joined at at the very end of it.
Point.
2 years
Yeah,
ago,
like 2 years into the war, we join ish. Yeah. And then mostly we just fight in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even get to Europe until 44. Although we do get into the Mediterranean and, 43, I think it was.
Oh, there you go. So we're doing our part.
We
then we're pretending that we did everything.
Everything. Yeah, we didn't do everything. No. We did provide an ass ton of equipment, though, that without, surely the Allies would have had a much more difficult time.
No doubt that America played a very valuable and important role in World War II.
We did not
also
win World War II by
doubt
ourselves.
That we continue to overstate everything we've done as a country in the history of our country.
That we do, Johnny. That we do.
For the past 200 and however many years.
It is the only, or at least the only official instance where U.S. soldiers fought along the German Wehrmacht and SS, because there was that one SS officer that was fighting with them as well.
Yeah, it sounds like they're overstating it. They had a guy.
Probably
not
a little
the
bit.
SS.
Captain John Lee would be honored with the Distinguished Cross because, you were ballsy, dude. Like, I mean, regardless of how overemphasized it was, like, you took a very small force and defended some POWs. Like, it does deserve.
He did. No. Oh no. I'm not trying to poo-poo this whole thing. I'm just saying it's a little.
Some of the facts are a little suspicious, maybe.
They probably told it at the bar a few times before they officially wrote it down, is all I'm saying.
Probably. And then this is my favorite thing that I discovered through the research of this episode. And I would play it for you guys, but I'm afraid that we would get copyright infringement or whatever. So I will, on the YouTube, link down to their song. But there's a band.
We'll drop a link in the description for Spotify too.
Okay, so there is a band called Sabaton that is a Swiss heavy metal band that does all their songs based on historical events. They commemorate this in a song called The Last Battle, and it is the most epic, amazing. This is my new favorite band. I cannot sing their praises enough. Like, just think about listening to some heavy metal music about Americans fucking shit up. It's amazing.
I mean, it's basically the theme music to an off-brand 1989 GI Joe cartoon. As
Which
far
is
as like
amazing.
the way the music is composed, and oh yeah, it gets you ready to go. It gets you pumped.
And Johnny, I'm going to convince you one of these days when COVID's over and they tour in the United States that we're going to do a live show from their concert.
From one of their
I'm going to make
yeah,
you go. It's
we'll
going to
see.
be amazing. It's going to be amazing, Johnny.
All right, that's it for this week in Historic Hindsight. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and join us next week when we talk about Amelia Earhart.